As time went on, the two children grew up and wanted to become independent. Therefore, the Sugar and Mulumba, his brother, decided to leave home. The Sugar married a beautiful woman called Leona, about 800 kilometers from the village, and had children. Malumba moved to the east near the river where he married Kaja, and they also had children. The two boys became responsible men. They worked hard for the survival of their families and were the envy of other villagers. This made them become very proud. One day, Tatu Kabongo, their father, got up and went to see his eldest son, Tishuaka. After taking his bag and his gun, he set off and traveled a long distance to get to the village where his eldest son lived. When he got there, he was welcomed with great joy. He prepared a good meal for him and went to the bed and rested. 2 months after Tatu Kabongo had stayed with his son, something very shocking happened. Tishuaka returned from hunting. When he got home, he found his father sitting under a mango tree. His wife was late in preparing dinner. Suddenly, Tishuaka raised a machete and cut off the head of his wife. Make it stand out, seized with panic. His father asked him, "Why did you do that?" Tishuaka looked at his father and said, "Father, do not be afraid. I did not do anything wrong." A moment after Tishuaka cut his wife's head off, he put it back on her neck, and the woman was revived and continued preparing dinner. The next morning, the father returned home after seeing the miracle of his son. A few days later, the father decided to visit his second son. He set off to the village which his second son, Mulumba, lived. When Tatu Kabongo arrived at Mulumba's house, he was received very warmly. The whole family ate and talked excitedly together. The next day, he and Mulumba went fishing. They got back plenty of fish which they gave to his wife to celebrate the arrival of Tatu Kabongo. After this welcome, while resting, Tatu Kabongo saw his son call his wife and children into hut and then set the hut on fire. His wife, his children, and all his possessions were consumed by fire. His father was very terrified. This reminded him of the event that had happened in his first son's house. Tatu Kabongo, very confused, asked his son, "But what are you doing? Why did you do such a thing?" Mulumba answered his father, saying, "Father, there is nothing. Only the flesh is weak, but do not fear." A few minutes later, the fire went down, and surprisingly, the box that was in the fire did not burn. "What a magic!" exclaimed Tatu Kabongo as the wife and children came out of the box safe and sound. Tatu Kabongo came to ran into the forest and told them all that he saw at home. His father began to smile, and asked Malumba, his second son, to go and fetch the machete from their house. When he got there, when he got there, he was met with the same situation as his brother. He also tried to convince the whole village that their father was still alive, but everybody also treated him like a sorcerer. He also returned to tell their father the same. Finally, the father told